President Trump left America's closest allies dismayed Sunday after he yanked the U.S. endorsement of a Group of 7 economic agreement and then unleashed a Twitter attack, echoed by further harsh criticisms from his White House advisors, on Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trump's actions deepen the divide between the United States and its allies, and European leaders Sunday expressed shock and resignation at this latest sign that the president is eager to defy diplomatic norms and blow up trade relationships that have been strong for decades. Trudeau had hosted the G7 summit in Quebec. The leaders of the 7 industrial powers had managed by Saturday to overcome their differences and cobble together a joint communiqué expressing common principles and economic aspirations. Trudeau announced the agreement at a news conference, and then, taking questions from reporters, reiterated his objections to Trump's imposition of tariffs on steel and aluminum from Canada, Mexico and the European Union. Trump took umbrage at those comments. Traveling on Air Force One to Singapore for the historic summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Trump charged Trudeau with false statements and accused him of being dishonest and weak. The White House tripled down on the Trudeau attack when it sent 2 top aides onto the Sunday morning talk shows. One of them said that the bizarre aftermath of the G7 economic summit was a political calculation, meant to show muscularity in advance of the Singapore summit. POTUS is not gonna let her Canadian Prime Minister push him around, Trump's chief economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, said on CNN's State of the Union. He is not going to permit any show of weakness on the trip to negotiate with North Korea. So this was about North Korea? CNN host Jake Tapper asked. Of course it was, in large part, Kudlow said. Kim must not see American weakness. Peter Navarro, Trump's top trade advisor, denounced Trudeau with language rarely used even against America's adversaries. There's a special place in hell for any foreign leader that engages in bad faith diplomacy with President Donald J. Trump and then tries to stab him in the back on the way out the door, Navarro said in an interview on Fox News Sunday. And that's what bad faith Justin Trudeau did with that stunt press conference. There is no obvious precedent for such a coordinated and acerbic series of attacks by White House advisors on a stalwart U.S. ally. Some foreign policy experts argued that North Korea's Kim could see the chaos at the end of the G7 gathering as an opening to gain leverage on Trump in negotiations, with Trump looking to avoid having 2 summits collapse back to back. The White House strategy of slamming Trudeau was the final twist to the awkward gathering in Quebec. Trump had initially roiled the waters by saying Russia, expelled from what had been the G8 after its annexation of Ukraine's Crimean Peninsula, should have been allowed to participate. Trump later said that while he has strong personal relationships with Trudeau and other leaders, he believes their countries are ripping off the United States through high tariffs. He threatened to stop all trade with any country that did not lower or even eliminate tariffs. The leaders eventually agreed on a joint communiqué, which included pledges to engage in free, fair, and mutually beneficial trade and investment. The statement also spoke about protecting the environment and removing the barriers that keep our citizens, including women and marginalized individuals, from participating fully in the global economy. Trump then departed. Trudeau appeared at a news conference and initially struck a celebratory tone, saying, "I'm happy to announce we've released a joint communiqué by all 7 countries." The Prime Minister had played down divisions between the United States and the 6 other members of the G7. As the summit host, Trudeau would not have wanted the 4-decade-old G7 to collapse in his country. But when questioned about the U.S. imposition of tariffs on steel and aluminum, Trudeau reaffirmed his intention to retaliate on July 1 with equivalent tariffs. He said the Trump administration's use of a national security provision to impose the tariffs was kind of insulting, given that Canadians have fought side by side with Americans in foreign lands. He said of his decision to impose new tariffs, "I have made it very clear to the President that it is not something we relish doing. But it is something that we absolutely will do. Because Canadians, we're polite, we're reasonable, but we also will not be pushed around." Those were fighting words for Trump. On Twitter he accused Trudeau of false statements and wrote that he had ordered his aides to withdraw U.S. endorsement of the joint communiqué. He didn't specify what he considered false about Trudeau's statements. Trump also said he would pursue an investigation that could push up tariffs on foreign auto imports, and he appeared to tie that to what he viewed as unfair dairy tariffs imposed by Canada. His tweets carried a tone of personal contempt. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada acted so meek and mild during our G7 meetings, only to give a news conference after I left saying that US tariffs were kind of insulting and he will not be pushed around. Very dishonest and weak. Our tariffs are in response to his of 270% on dairy. Trump wrote. Trudeau did not seem eager to match Trump's rancor. When the Canadian Prime Minister went on Twitter Sunday morning, he did not explicitly address Trump's comments.